Hello guys, Flanker here. Something interesting happened just recently. Initially, I planned to talk about it during my first Twitch stream that I expect to happen in a week or two, but since there isn't much else to discuss while we are patiently waiting for the next development livestream, I decided to make a video about it instead. Before we dive in, as always, I would appreciate your likes and subscription to my channel. So, what exactly happened? A few days ago, I uploaded another video on my channel, and after some time, I decided to post it on the subreddit r/Ashes of Creation. I've done this almost every time with few exceptions, and usually the posts would get anywhere from 0 to 40 upvotes over time. In the case of my last post, the situation was quite unusual because as of now, it has over 200 upvotes, which is not the norm. I mean, yeah, I'm kinda happy about that video as I spent a lot of time on it and I think it ended up being relatively good, but is it good enough to get 200 upvotes? I don't think so. Since I did nothing suspicious and have nothing to hide, I have absolutely no problem with making this case public. So after some time, the following comment appeared under my post: "Fake upvotes, bot city over here," as well as a reply to it from another user. Funny to hear that from an account named butcoin_100k. And while it's kind of funny, especially considering the recent comment history of the first user in the subreddit, what's far more important is the meaning of what was written and not who wrote it. As strange as it may sound, he actually had valid reasons for writing that comment. In response to his comment, I wrote my own reply, which I want to break down in more detail, along with some points that weren't mentioned in the comment itself. Before that, I'd like to note that I have a relatively solid understanding of how Reddit and its algorithm work. And it's not me trying to flex or something, it's a note that will make sense soon enough. He actually has a valid reason to say that this post is anomaly. The most curious thing about it, at least for me, is that I have nothing to do with it. It makes no sense to use fake upvotes in a small subreddit that is not really active and on average only has 1-2 posts per day. Why? Because the post will remain on top anyway. If we take a look at the number of posts appearing in the subreddit, we'll see that on average it's about 1 to 2 posts per day. And this is especially true during the breaks between live streams when the hype and debates temporarily die down. At the time of my post, it was exactly one of those quiet periods. What I'm trying to say is that using fake upvotes in this case wouldn't really make much sense. Given the low frequency of posts, any new post, even with 0 upvotes, would stay at the top of the hot section for quite a while. Theoretically, it could make sense in an active and highly competitive subreddit where 5 new posts appear every hour. In that case, if a post doesn't gain any traction, it just gets buried by other posts. But in this particular case with r/Ashes of Creation, this is simply pointless. Next, it makes no sense to use around 200 upvotes. 20 could be enough to be at the top. As I mentioned earlier, even with 0 upvotes, a post can stay near the top of the hot section for quite a while. And 20, 30, 50 upvotes would definitely be more than enough to keep it there for a good amount of time. Additionally, that many upvotes won't really change anything as Reddit post ranking algorithm uses logarithmic function, so the correlation between the number of likes and posts' longevity is not linear. Here's how the hot section ranking algorithm works. And here's how it looks in mathematical notation. Now, don't worry if it doesn't really tell you anything, I'll provide an explanation in simple terms as well. But it was still necessary to mention it because it's an important detail. The first conclusion is that the submission time and the age of the post are both key factors when it comes to ranking in the hot section. The second conclusion is that the ranking algorithm uses a logarithmic function to give the first upvotes more weight than the rest. So the first 10 upvotes hold the same weight as the next 100, which hold the same weight as the next 1000, and so on. The funny thing is that I know it, and I fully understand how this works. So knowing this, me using fake upvotes in such a way would be incredibly foolish and illogical. Next, it makes no sense from financial perspective. My channel is not even monetized yet, and from my past posts, I get like from 100 to 150 YouTube views at most, which is not worth spending money or risking my account. So my current YouTube channel is not big at the moment, but even considering that, getting 100 to 150 views with very questionable watch time isn't really worth it. Those upvotes probably wouldn't cost much, but risking my 4-year-old Reddit account for 100 views is not a 200 IQ idea, putting it mildly. For reference, at the time I wrote the script, the video had received 76 views from Reddit, which is about 5% of the total views. So if it wasn't me, but the post still doesn't seem to be organic, and something fishy is definitely going on, how did this happen? One obvious theory could be that a hater did it, intentionally making it look obvious in a way that would be noticeable to everyone, hoping that someone would call me out for it. The goal could be to either damage my reputation or to get my Reddit account reported and banned. But honestly, I don't even know who would do such a thing. And I can't really think of any haters I could possibly have who could try to make it an obvious vote manipulation to report the post for that later. I mean, I've had some heated debates on the forum, but I doubt that any of them, any of those people, would do that. Also, it would be logical to assume that if there are fake upvotes, there might also be fake downvotes. But as I mentioned earlier, a potential ill-wisher wouldn't achieve much through mass downvoting because even posts with 0 upvotes still stay in the hot section for quite a while. I shared the information about this incident with other content creators in our Discord server to warn them, just in case something similar happens to them. And one of them suggested another theory that I hadn't considered at first. Someone might have wanted to help me. This seems very unlikely to me, but just in case that's the truth, please don't do it. Another important piece of the puzzle is the fact that I had a conversation with another content creator about Reddit some time ago. Obviously, I won't mention his name as it doesn't really matter, but here's the story. Almost 2 months ago, on August 1st, I noticed something that seemed to be somewhat suspicious on Reddit. I wasn't sure whether that person did that, so I decided to DM him privately and give him a friendly advice not to do that in case he actually did. Spoiler, he didn't do anything and provided a valid proof of that, so it was just a set of circumstances that make it look somewhat questionable. This story is not directly relevant to the situation that I'm talking about now, but the reason why I mentioned it is the fact that I wrote this. Quick disclaimer, these messages didn't have to do anything with his situation because that issue was different. But the point is that I warned him that vote manipulation is a risky thing to do, and that even using an anti-detect browser with proxies and unique browser fingerprints is not a guarantee that you will not get banned. So if I was aware of the risks 2 months ago and nothing changed since then what's the point in risking my account and my reputation for 76 views? Finally, I assume that at least some of you had the following question in mind. Okay, Flanker, it seems that you really know something about Reddit. So how can we possibly know that it is not you who did all this, hoping to start some drama, to draw attention to yourself, or to play a victim card? And funnily enough, that would be a reasonable hypothesis. I obviously know the answer to this, but I will refrain from giving any comments and let you think about it. Why? Well, I probably couldn't answer this question better than this book character did. I can't think of one other suspect, Harry said. Someone you didn't put on your list at all. Would you analyze him to me, Professor? There was another of those moments of silence that was almost a sound in itself. As for that suspect, the defense professor said softly, I think you shall prosecute him on your own, Mr. Potter, without help from me. I have heard such requests before, and experience leads me to refuse. Either I will do too good a job of prosecuting myself and convince you that I am guilty, or else you will decide that my prosecution was too half-hearted and that I am guilty. I hope this video entertained you a bit while we are all waiting for the next development livestream. If it did, I'd be really grateful if you could leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Also, I'm really curious about your thoughts on all this, so feel free to share them in the comments below. I am Flanker, and I'll see you soon.